Okay, we'll go ahead and start. First of all, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming. I know you're on a busy schedule. It is not easy. And I just want to start out by saying, if I thought the opposite, I would tell you, this has really been a good group of kids. Really. And this is all new for all of us. The AP curriculum is new for me, even after teaching for 34 years. It's certainly new to your kids. And we're making adjustments, but I'm really pleased with what they've done. They've been a very responsible group of kids. They do the right things. They have a good sense of humor, and I'm really enjoying them. I wanted to just explain to you a little bit. I should have probably done this in the spring, but I hadn't been to any AP training yet. You can teach an old dog new tricks, I found out. I went to the AP conference in Seattle, and I'll guarantee you two things. I was the oldest person there, and everybody was looking at me like, what in the hell is he doing here? And you'd think when you go to an AP conference in history, you'd see a bunch of coaches. You really would see, because most social studies are coaches. Most of the people that teach AP are more of the speech and debate type coaches or the drama coaches. And I don't know why that was, but I was kind of surprised. I expected to go in there and see all kinds of coaches, and that wasn't the case. I didn't admit that I was once one, because that might have been not looked favorably upon by the group. But anyway, what happened basically on this AP curriculum is that, and I think parents need to know this, is that we're having quite a time with Northwest College and what we call the concurrent enrollment. Now I'll kind of explain the difference between concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment. Concurrent enrollment is when Powell, Northwest College, okays or allows one of our teachers to teach a college course. And in the case of that happening, and we still have a few left, not many, in the case of that happening, what happens is whatever grade the student gets, for example, in Honors English 4, they get on their high school transcript, and they also get on a college transcript at Northwest. And that becomes Northwest College credit, and whether it transfers easy or not is really up to the institution which they transfer to. Now, most often if they transfer to any college in Wyoming, it's not an issue. And we've had kids that have transferred. Patrick Hunter, one that transferred with, I think, over 20 college credits because he took every college credit class he could. We've had other kids that have done the same thing. Well, what has happened over the years is when our teachers who've been okayed to teach these concurrent classes have retired, Northwest College has not allowed anyone to be renewed. And it's a money game because in a concurrent enrollment class, we teach it, they charge us for the class, we charge them for the use of the professor, and it's a wash, so they make no money. In a dual enrollment class, which would be on the internet, we pay the full boat for a kid to take that class, so it's a money issue. So this really surprised me. Dr. McGee, who's taught Northwest College for years and years, and is very rigorous in his approach to literature, etc., got the word about 2 weeks ago that Northwest is passing a new rule that if you do not have a master's degree in the content area in which you are teaching, they're going to get rid of you, so to speak, and no grandfathered in. He's got a doctorate degree and is not going to be able to teach this course because it's not in literature or English. So, I think we're going to get one more year out of Dr. McGee, and then we really are, in my opinion, going to have any Northwest College courses, concurrent courses. So the administration got together and grabbed myself and Tim McGee, and we went to Cody to talk about their AP program, Advanced Placement, which is a different program which I'll talk about. And so we took a trip to Cody because we really hate to see the kids lose the opportunity at college credit. But there's a whole different ballgame AP-wise, whole different game, because in a concurrent enrollment class through Northwest College, if a kid gets a D in the course, they still get the college credit. Whatever they get in the class, they get. In an advanced placement course, you have to pass an advanced placement test at the end of the year, and you have to score 3, 4, 5, which I'll talk about later. And if you do not score 3, 4, 5, then you do not get college credit. So if you score a 3, some universities will give you college credit. 4 gives you more, 5 might give you more. But if you were going to Texas Tech and you scored a 3 and they accepted that credit, you would get history credit from Texas Tech. It would say Texas Tech University history credits. So that's kind of the explanation there. And I think, when I went to the AP conference, I was a little bit blown away. I wasn't used to it, and I wasn't used to the rigor and what the exam's going to be all about. And so I just want, parents to kind of know what they're getting themselves into. Now, before we get to the real nuts and bolts of that, I kind of wanted to go through the syllabus, the core syllabus, and tell you kind of what your kids are doing and how it kind of works here. So I gave you one, and you can take it home. And I want you to know that when I prepared for this AP class, when I got back in July and August, I had these anticipations of how this should be, not being the expert. But so we've revised a little bit on this syllabus throughout the year so far because it isn't exactly like I thought it would be. And I'll kind of explain that. The first thing I want to explain to you is that guide, or that website, that www.warlandhighschooldctrip.wikispaces.com. That is a crucial website that you have available for your son or daughter. Now, unfortunately, you can upload it here at the school, but you can't get the information I want them to have at school because everything in the world is blocked here. Okay? Their best bet is they can get it on their phone, and if they have the, and I'm a guy that shouldn't have a phone, but if they have their own internet service and they don't need to have Wi-Fi, they can get it here at school, and call it up and watch it, and I'll explain what that means. The first thing I want to kind of explain, though, is on the next page. When we went and talked about AP US History, you have to cover the test from 1600 to the present. And I'm just going to tell you, that is virtually impossible to do anyway, but especially in a district like we have where kids are gone for activities. It's just impossible. Like one of the questions on the exam last year was compare the Articles of Confederation of 1776 to President Clinton's speech in Munich in 1996. That's one of the questions on the test. So if you don't know those two areas, you have no shot. And then you've got to be able to read and you've got to be able to write efficiently to make this thing work. Because one of the things we did is we got that question and we looked at, and that wasn't samples, it was actual answers of kids that had taken it last year. Of course, they blocked out the name, and they asked us, the experts, to score it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I read this young man from Indiana. I read his, and I thought, this kid is a genius. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I read through it, and I don't think I could have answered it as well as he did. So I gave him a 4. Well, in reality, he got a 2 on it. So it's a very difficult thing. So the point I want to make is that if your son or daughter are taking AP US History because they are counting on college credit, there's only a 50% pass ratio in the country on this test nationally. Now that doesn't mean that all of our kids wouldn't pass that test, but when we went and talked to Cody, they had trouble for 3 years getting the kids to pass those exams because of the rigor that they weren't used to from previous times. So I have a huge advantage in this. And I want to kind of mention again, the reason we're going to do what I'm just going to tell you now is because, number one, there's no way I can cover this curriculum in 1 year from 1600 to the present and give it any justice at all. 2, that sample question in itself tells me that we need to spend some time with these kids if they're going to have any shot at all. And 3 are the number of days our kids are gone. I have only had 8 days out of 18 so far this school year in which I have not been interrupted by a school activity. Now that doesn't even count kids that are sick, okay? And that's difficult on the kids, and I really get kind of frustrated with this, but it is not the kids' fault. I mean, we got field trips, we got ball games. I mean, if you're into golf, not criticizing golf, because they don't want you to have the courses on Saturday, these kids miss every Thursday and Friday. Then if they were in student council yesterday, they miss Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And it's just virtually impossible to get some of this stuff done under those circumstances. I have a semi-solution problem, which I'll talk about, but that's why we're splitting this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach from 1600 to 1930 this year, and then we'll have the same kids next year, and we'll teach from 1930 to the present, and then they'll take the exam at the end of their senior year. That's the plan, and I'll have to do some review. To me, that's the only way we even have a shot. And we have a 50-50 shot, even if that works. So when we talked to the kids about signing up for the AP course when they applied, I said, I really need a 2-year commitment out of you. If you're not interested in a 2-year commitment, I got other kids that want to be in here. And so, just so you know, your kids said they would.
Yeah, and I'm not having a question on that. My question was your policy of moving them out based on grades at the end of the year. Okay, if they get moved out, do they still get their junior year full credit of US history?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. I don't see that going to happen because I'm not going to let it happen. Now, I'm a little bit different in the way I do things than maybe others, but these kids would have to make an effort to get a C. If they get a C in this class, they really honestly should not be in here. But in answering your question, if they finish the year with a C, they certainly will get AP credit of C. Now I want to really make this clear because I think kids and parents were really not completely clear on this. If they get an A in this class for the semester, they get a 5-point GPA, for that. If they get a B, they get a 4-point. However, if they get a C or a D, come on in, or an F on it, it's still 2, 1, and 0. Now I want you to know too that the only thing they're using this 5 and 4 scale for is valedictorian and salutatorian. I called the University of Wyoming, I called several junior colleges, I called colleges out the state and asked them this question. On your child's transcript will be a weighted and an unweighted GPA. Of course, the weighted is they get the extra points for the class. The University of Wyoming told me straight out they were going to take the unweighted GPA to look at scholarships and stuff. I talked to most of the other schools, all the schools, community college, same way. I called some out-of-state schools. One, I called my alma mater of Rocky. We actually have 2 kids that are going there this year. They have some sort of a special formula that they use to try to figure it out. But in most instances, I think what the university that your kid's going to go to is going to take the unweighted. Now, you can certainly check and see how that goes. But I just want to be clear on that because, I had some kids, I think, who started the year thought, well, I'll get a C in here, but on my report card, I'll get a B. Well, that isn't how it works. If you get a B, you still get a B on the transcript, but it's calculated at a 4-point instead of a 5. And it's only going to be used for valedictorian and salutatorian. So, does everybody understand that, or is that news to you too? That's how it works. Okay. I'm losing kind of track of what I'm saying here. But anyway, but the point being is that I'll have them for 2 years, and they're a great bunch. I'll be thrilled to have them for 2 years. Now, can I force your kid to be in there next year if they really don't want to be in there? No. But I would feel bad because we kind of kept the spot open for them to be in there. Now, then it comes into the D.C. trip, comes into that part. We still are going to go to Washington, D.C. with these kids as seniors. I'll have a meeting with you guys at the end of this year to talk about that, talk about the commitment there, talk about the fundraising we do in August, and kind of get through that. That to me, this will be my 18th trip. This is a tremendous experience for these kids. They never forget it, and we'll work towards that process too. So there was some talk out there that when we change this AP curriculum, that the DC trip was going to end. It'll only end if I don't make it back 1 year, I guess would be the way to go. So, I mean, it's a great experience for the kids as long as I'm able to do it and feel comfortable with the kids. We'll do that. I do want to mention this as well, though. We talk a lot about trust in this class with the kids, and we start early with them here, juniors, that, we have to be able to trust each other. I've got to be able to trust them. If they have an issue, they can't give me the story that isn't true. I've got to be able to look them in the eye. They've got to be able to look me in the eye. Because when we get to Washington, D.C., I have to be able to trust your kids when I got them 3,000 miles away from home. So when I ask them to do this, they do it. I don't have any reservations with any of the kids in this class. This really is a good bunch. I have a group of seniors this year that are taking the class kind of the old way for the last time. They're great kids, but I honestly think at times that these kids have sometimes better responsibility than the older kids. And so I'm really excited about the kids in general. So anyway, I'm going to kind of go through the syllabus so you know kind of how this works. Under assessment procedures, this is a lecture class. And some of you are teachers in here, if you're all the new research, they say, oh God, you can't stand in front of kids and lecture. I'm telling you, you can. That's what I do every day. Okay? I'm not a huge homework guy. I understand that these kids have a lot of homework in other classes. I kind of feel like if I can get 55 minutes out of them and get some good engagement, I don't need to give them a bunch of homework. But they will have some, and I'll explain that to you. So it's a lecture course. The kids do need to know how to read and how to write if they're going to pass the AP exam. So we've had a couple of reading assignments where they have read about John Rolfe and the impact of tobacco on Virginia and the Mayflower Compact, and they've read through those. And then I either give them a quiz on that, or I'll give them a writing assignment to write what they deciphered from the reading. Some of them have a ways to go. Some of them are doing pretty good. The thing that concerns me maybe more, and I talked to them about it, is just because your mother or dad can read your writing, and maybe even I can, doesn't mean the test professionals can read your writing. So they have got to write legibly. This isn't, at this point, a computer deal where they get on the computer and answer the questions. They are writing. And so that's something we have to kind of emphasize. And I talk to kids, honors English isn't for everybody. I know it's horribly rigorous, but like I told the kids, the honors English will probably help your writing skills. I'm not being facetious, but I'm not a writing instructor, you know what I mean? I read poorly as a child, and so they're not gonna get that from me much, so they're gonna have to spend some time on that. I'm gonna work them hard and try to explain to them, and I work really well with Dr. McGee, so if I have some questions on what a kid's interpretation of something is, I don't have any problem asking him, and he'll help me with that. So, but they do have to read and write. So it is a lecture class, but they will be getting reading assignments throughout the semester. They're worth 20 points apiece. Writing assignments, same thing. They're also going to get 2 biography assignments a quarter. And what I do is I give them a name of someone. I might give them Andrew Jackson, someone that we haven't covered yet. And so they do a biography. They have a handout on that. They talk about the person's early life and their career and their, you know, military service, that type of thing, their later life and death. And then that way when we get to the next quarter, they kind of know who we're talking about. And so those are already assigned, and those are due October 1st, the first one. And we'll give them another one that will be due before the end of the semester. We have summative evaluations. Teachers know this. A formative evaluation is more like a quiz, where, like, I gave them a quiz today, and it was, you know, 5-question quiz, and they don't quite get it, and they make some mistakes, and the reason you give them a formative quiz is so when they take the test with the same questions, that they understand what they did wrong and they answer them correctly. So there'll be quizzes on occasion, but summative exams are usually 75 to 150 points apiece, and it's a summation of what we've done during the course of that unit. Now, I'm a little bit different. Everybody has different philosophy. We lecture, and I just don't think it's right to say, oh, we have a test tomorrow, get after it. You know what I mean? Because there's obviously things in that lecture that I think are really important, and some things that maybe are trivial. So we have a review day, the day before the test, and we go through what I want them to know on the test, and there's never anything on the test that wasn't on the review. And so if they miss a review, you know, that's important, we'll talk about that. And then we have classroom participation attendance, what happens with your child, and some people don't understand this very well. I really have a firm belief, and nobody has to agree with me here, that's okay, we can agree to disagree, but I believe if a student is here, they ought to be rewarded for that, okay? So if you have an 87% and you miss 2 days, and you have an 87% and miss 14 days, I just personally don't think you should have the same grade. That's just my opinion. And so we have what's called a participation grade weekly. There are 5 days of school this week, so we don't take points away from kids. I gave every kid 25 points at the start of this week, and if they're gone other than extracurricular activities, they don't get their points. If they don't come in with their supplies, they don't get their points. If they are tardy, they don't get their points. If they do nothing, they don't get their points. Now, I can tell you, because I randomly checked 10 students today, attendance participation points versus non-attendance participation points, and every student is averaging about 1.8% better because we offer attendance. In other words, if I didn't have the participation attendance in there, then I'll have about 2% less than they have now. So I think it's really important that they do that. Now, if they're gone for a school activity, they are by law with us. I mean, they're in school, so we give them the points for that, and that's how it goes. Yeah.
Oh, so what about if they're sick for the day?
It doesn't matter to me a bit, because it's participation.
They don't get the points.
Yeah, they do not.
You can't make them up.
No, and the idea behind it, the participation attendance, isn't to hurt kids, it's to help kids. Like I said, if I didn't have them right now, I can guarantee you every kid would be almost 2% less than they have right now. So if you have a kid, say I have a kid last week, let's say just on an example, we had 20 points last week because there was 4 days and some kid was gone twice sick. Yeah, that hurt them that week, but the week before when they were there every single day, it makes a big difference. So I would rather have them. I guess my job after 35 years is I always try to do what I think is in the best interest of the students, and I've done this for 35 years, and it really rewards the kid that consistently comes to school. And it doesn't harm the ones that aren't in activities, because, you know, that's just a difficult deal. So I think it's very much worth it. So anyway, to give you an example, we have had 100 points of participation attendance. And I don't want you to think it's just attendance, it's participation. If a kid comes in and sets their head on their desk and doesn't do anything all day, they're not going to get 5 points, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of proud of that in a way, because I have times when kids will come to my class and not go to anybody else's during the day. And I'd like to think that's because it was a heck of a good class, and that might be part of it. But most of it is, you know, because they want to make sure they're here so they don't miss anything. It's tough for these kids to miss and keep up, especially in an AP course. And you parents are going to find that out when your kids get to be seniors, when they're interested in taking AP literature and AP calculus on top of AP biology. They might be taken as a junior in AP US history. It's a lot of work. It's tough on them. And so it becomes a difficult situation. So that's how we grade kids. We have reading assignments, writing assignments, biography assignments. Most of the grade comes from the summative evaluations or the exams, and then the participation during the day. And I want to tell you, your kids are great about participating. We engage kids on a daily basis and ask them questions, and I don't feel like they think, they can give a stupid answer. They're very good. We have kind of a thing going. I've done this before where we buy t-shirts like this. U.S. history is my game. This one says got 1600 to 1930. So we'll have t-shirt questions, and if a kid answers something that's kind of above and beyond, we'll give them a t-shirt. So they kind of like that. So anyway, it's a fun thing to do for the kids. Moving on these class lectures, basically what the kids do is they take notes in a 3-ring binder, which I gave them their binder. They're complaining about the size of it, by the way. It didn't fit in their lockers. But it'll be full by the end of the year. And they just continue to keep their notes in sections and kind of go from there. So it's a participation class. I just don't stand up and talk and talk and talk. I do plenty of talking, it's like I'm doing now, but we engage them all the time. We try to talk to every kid during the day and get them involved. And this group is really good. Where it becomes a little bit of a problem is when we are missing school, and I understand where they're at on that, and so we record the lectures just like I'm recording this little presentation tonight. And for those parents that couldn't make it, they can get on our website and find that. It's all YouTube. Like today, by the time I get the lecture out at 5th period, it'll be on the website ready to go by 4 o'clock. So if these kids are, I had Stacia Winters who was in Australia last year for 8 days. She got the lectures in Australia. Kids are at FCCLA, they can get them there. And we do expect, because it's an honors class, that when they come back, they're ready to roll because we do provide that service for them. So if they're at volleyball Thursday and Friday, and I don't like to have tests on Monday, I can talk about that, but if I've got a test rolling and they're gone, they're responsible to make up. If they miss the review, they get it on the lecture, they take the test the next day. So if we had a test tomorrow,